he spoke of basically African people that he saw in the Caribbean islands. Not the so-called Native Americans, but African people. He described their dark skin and their nappy hair. Native Americans don't have nappy hair. But here's what a lot of people don't know. Christopher Columbus was in what is now considered Ghana. He came to Africa before he set sail for the so-called New World. It was nothing new about it because we had already been coming to and from the Western Hemisphere for millennia. There was nothing new about it. He stayed at the site of one of the slave dungeons in Ghana. And when you go to either 𝚂𝚄𝙱𝚂𝙸𝙱𝚂 Castle Dungeon or Cape Coast Castle Dungeon in Ghana, I forget which one it was, Columbus spent a week there. And according to the history, he was given maps that showed him the voyages of the sea and how there were three main currents that would take you from Europe or Africa over to the Americas. There was one current that take you straight across from West Africa to the east coast of the United States, or what is now the United States. There was another current that would take you to Central America and South America to Brazil. And there was still yet a third current that would take you from West Africa or Europe down to the Caribbean. All you had to do was catch that current in the water and it took you where you needed to go. So Columbus knew how to get here because our ancestors taught him. So why then do white people still celebrate Columbus Day? I'll tell you why. The reason Columbus must be celebrated by white people, whether he discovered America or not, because he is the father of the expansion of European imperialism into the Western Hemisphere. Without Columbus, you don't get the wholesale murder of Native Americans. Without Columbus, you don't get the mass enslavement of African people, the greatest unnatural disaster in human history. You don't get that without Columbus. Without Columbus, the white man never takes over this planet. And so as far as they are concerned, he is the father of the discovery of America because he basically gave them the ability to discover the world and claim it for themselves. When you look at the story of Christopher Columbus, you have in that story every aspect of white psychology: colonization, capitalism, imperialism, genocide, manipulation. Everything that Columbus did represents the political aspects of European thought and behavior. So for them, Columbus is a god because Columbus is the forerunner of global white supremacy, and without him there is no white supremacy. So they will always celebrate Columbus. My second point, when you mentioned Tim Scott, and he's not the only one. Kamala Harris, the vice president, she also said America was not racist. Let us go back to plantation psychology. Rule 101 on a slave plantation is that the house Negro's job is to protect the interests of the slave master. Kamala Harris's job is to protect the interests of the slave master. She has a white husband. Tim Scott's job is to protect the interests of the slave master. I believe he has a white wife. You understand me? And they're not alone. You have your Shaquille O'Neals. You have your Charles Barkleys. You have your Stephen A. Smiths. You have your Candace Owens. You have your Supreme Court Clarence Thomas. You always have a handful of Negropeans who are willing to do the bidding of the power structure so as to improve their relationship to it. But here's what they need to understand. White supremacy doesn't put black people into boxes. And what I mean by that, genocide is the elimination of an entire people. Not just the poor ones, not just the dark-skinned ones, not just the enslaved ones. Genocide is the removal of all African people. So that means after they're done using Shaquille O'Neal, after they're done using Charles Barkley, after they're done using Kamala Harris and Tim Scott, Stephen A. Smith, Candace Owens, they have to be exterminated as well. Because as long as there's any African in America, you risk your population being turned black in 50 years. See, understand something. One of the reasons the black man and black woman are so hated in this world is because we're the only people on earth who can reproduce ourselves within any other people. Yeah. If I lay with a Latino, an Arab, an East Indian, a Native American, a European Jew, an Anglo-Saxon female, she's producing a black child. No matter what man a black woman lays with, she produces a black baby. No other group can do that. And the European in particular can only reproduce himself and his own woman. If the white man wants a white child, he can only copulate with the white woman because his genetic power is so weak that he has to stay within his community in order to reproduce himself. And that's why the gun, as the late great Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, rest in eternal peace, spoke of in her ISIS Papers book that everybody should read. The gun is the white man's equivalent to your penis. The black man's penis can change the color of an entire race in 50 years. White man can't do that, so he uses the gun for his genocide. We do not have to exterminate a people to eliminate a people. We can reproduce them out of existence. He has to exterminate them out of existence. And that's why when you look at lynchings in America, most black men hanged from trees were mostly castrated. They hung Jews. They didn't castrate them. They hung Irish. They didn't castrate them. They hung Chinese. They didn't castrate them. So why is it 99% of the time when a black man was hanged, he was castrated? Because your penis represents the eternal envy of the white man. We get it wrong. Brothers in the hood think the white man is envious of your physical size, of your genitalia. That has nothing to do with it. He doesn't envy the genitalia because not every black man is blessed with a large genitalia. What he envies is your reproductive power. Your ability to go anywhere in the world and create a black nation no matter what the color of the woman. We are the chosen people. Being chosen has nothing to do with being a Muslim, a Christian, or a Hebrew. Being chosen is being a member of the original family that God put down on earth for the first time in the Nile Valley civilization of Africa. If you are amongst that family, you are chosen. Everybody knows who we are. They know that we're the people who built them pyramids. Right. They know we're the people who made this country. They know we're the people who invented the cell phone, the internet, the helicopter, the stoplight, the gas mask, the self-lubricating engine. They know who we are. The problem is we forgot. And one of the reasons we forgot is we allowed the white power structure to desegregate our children into their public schools. Ever since 1954, when the Supreme Court overturned Brown versus Board, they've been pushing black kids into white public schools and predominantly white universities, not to give us a better opportunity, but to kill the intellectual genius of the black child. Remember, most of our inventions were created before we sat next to white children. We were creating things white kids were not even thinking about. So they had to kill that, and the best way to kill that was to desegregate the schools. And look what we've been doing ever since desegregation. Basketballs, footballs, gangster rap, and white girls.
And that's kind of where I want to go to next with the gangster rap, and that's the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I see that the media, it used to be just kind of like, okay, that's a little bit negative, but there's other vibrations. You had Souls of Blackness, and, you know, different positive conscious rap in the 90s, but now it seems like the entire algorithm of hip-hop across all platforms, whether it's YouTube, whether it's the radio, whether if it's streaming platforms, it's all about murder. It's not even about selling drugs no more. That was dangerous, but it's just about murder. How many people can you kill for no reason? Let's put this group against this group. Why is the music only kind of one genre, so to speak, of gangster rap or drill rap?
Gotcha.
Why is it missing, and what can we do to bring that balance back now that we have independent platforms where I could just kind of upload my own content? Why do you think that is?
Gangster rap is the soundtrack of mass incarceration. It's the soundtrack of mass incarceration. The white power structure, particularly the untouchable power structure that controls gangster rap, deliberately redirected its aim in order to have black children indoctrinated with the kill, shoot, sell dope, sexual exploitation of black girls mentality, in order to reinforce the European narrative that black men are only good for sex and dope. You understand? And unfortunately, we are playing into this because whereas the white man is motivated by power, the black man is motivated by money. We have two totally separate agendas. As I spoke to you earlier, I said the Roman Catholic schools in Detroit wouldn't sell me a school. Those schools are still for sale 6 years later because they are about power, not money. Black people are motivated by money. That's why we don't have anything. We need power. You understand? And so, unfortunately, black men are going to go down in history, and gangster rappers in particular are going to go down in history as being the only human population in the history of the world to participate in the extermination of their own public image. No other group in history has participated in the eradication of a positive image of themselves in major mainstream media. But we're doing that. And nobody's holding the gangster rappers accountable because they have money. Everybody in the black community is motivated by money. We're not motivated by loyalty. We're not motivated by integrity. We're not motivated by legacy. We're motivated by money. I'll give you something else. The other day, California approved a reparations bill for black people. And according to what I read, they're going to give every black person in California approximately $224,000 as restitution for slavery. Now, California was not a slave-owning state, but for the support of the slave enterprise, they're going to pay reparations. There's some black people who think that's a good thing. It's a total setup and a scam. Why would you allow somebody to give you $224,000 for 500 years of abuse, exploitation, dehumanization? Why would you allow that? California has one of the highest qualities of life in America. You probably can't even buy a house with $224,000 in California. You understand? And even in other places, it might be a small house, maybe a car. So you're telling me for the hell that my ancestors went through building this country, I'm going to let you give me $224,000 for that? Now, here's the trick. They're giving that money to black people so we can serve as the conduit for the recycling of that reparations into white businesses. Because what are we going to do with that money?
Exactly.
We're going to spend it, which is why I believe the whole reparations narrative as it is now articulated is a scam and a sham.
Yes.
Because if you are arguing or demanding a cash payout from the government for your enslavement and you don't have any institutions or infrastructure in which you can trap that black dollar, that money automatically goes to the Arabs. It automatically goes to the Chinese, the Korean hair care. It goes to the Jewish-owned establishments. We don't have no institutions to trap the black dollar. The black dollar circulates less than one time. So if you give me reparations, no matter how much, if the black dollar only circulates one time, that means in 24 hours, all that money is gone. It's a setup. We should not be looking for cash payments for reparations. We should be looking for land. We should be looking for wealth. We should be looking for control of natural resources. We should be looking for assets. We should be looking for a return of all black music. We should be looking for a return of all black inventions. You understand me? The benefit of the enslavement of Africans will never expire to America. And as a result of that, whatever we get as restitution for enslavement should likewise never expire. Money runs out. Money expires. And that's why money should not be on the list.
And that's why I always thought I was the only one, like reparations should be systemic. Just
yes!
The systems.
It needs to be systemic. Our enslavement gave birth to an entire system in the United States. And you're telling me that in exchange for this system, 400-500 years of white supremacy that we built, you're going to accept a one-time cash payout.
Right.
You mean to tell me you don't see the lopsided nature of that agreement? You're going to accept money for systemic benefits that came from your systemic exploitation? Mass incarceration ain't changed. Miseducation ain't changed. Gentrification ain't changed. Police genocide ain't changed. Access to wealth ain't changed. They give you that money. It addresses none of the 5 major problems black people have. So how is that money a solution? It's a trap. But you got thirsty, greedy Negroes who want some money, so they're pushing cash payment so they can get them a new Benz, a new white girl, and a new house in a white suburb.
And I always said that, like Kanye said, they made us love their wealth and hate ourselves. You know, we just so brainwashed by the materialism.
Absolutely.
That we think that's a form of compensation.
And the reason we're so brainwashed by the materialism is because white power stripped black people of their racial integrity, so much so that we feel like nobodies unless I got a Benz. We feel like nobodies unless I got a Gucci rag, some Yeezys on. I gotta have gold. I gotta have diamonds. What do you see every rapper with? A chain. And the most popular chain in the hip-hop community is a white Jesus piece on top of that. So we still won't get away from white Jesus, even in the hip-hop community. Why does every rapper gotta wear a chain with diamonds and gold? to remind them that they have worth, because without that they feel like nobody. The reason black people are so materialistic is because we're trying to compensate for self-hate with European materialism.
Yep, and I always said change represent that we still slaves. Man, Dr. Umar, I
No
really
problem.
admire your passion, man.
Appreciate you,
I could
appreciate
do this
you.
all day with you, man, just taking in wisdom and
No problem.
learning and spreading the truth to other people who are outside the conscious community.